What's up, Justice Seekers? I am Lane.
And I am Dave, head of the Justice League, back with Touring History X, Y, and Z, where we learn that the most dangerous phrase in American politics is law and order, because it usually means law for some and order for others.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I've seen that movie before.
So, before we dive into July 23rd, sobering reminder that civil unrest is what happens when civil discourse fails, a word from our sponsor, Duluth Trading.
Oh, wait, Dave, I have to
Yes?
interrupt before
What?
we go there. That outfit, you
Oh,
look like
isn't it
what would
great?
happen if a sociology professor decided to cosplay as a 1960s community organizer and
Oh, yeah.
really committed to the I have a clipboard and I'm here to help aesthetic. Very earnest graduate student conducting field research in urban social movements. Are you wearing that to honor today's civil rights theme?
Hold on. I have to check the box. Yes. Yes, I'm channeling the spirit of peaceful activism, Lane.
You're channeling something, all right. It's very, I volunteer at voter registration drives and have strong opinions about community policing. Policing?
Yes.
Policing.
Policing. There it is. Stepped in it again.
I stepped in
Well,
that extremism.
yes, I need to see your license. Duluth Trading at duluthtrading.com, because when society breaks down, you want workwear that doesn't. Right now, they're offering 20% off for new subscribers, plus summer clearance deals. So head on down.
Visit duluthtrading.com for clothing built to last longer than most political promises, with quality that maintains its integrity regardless of how badly institutions fail theirs.
That's right. They'd let the Epstein files out. Oh yeah. July
Ah.
23rd, Lane, and what really strikes me about this date is how it demonstrates that America's greatest challenge isn't external threats. It's our persistent inability to deliver on our own promises.
Yes. But before we explore today's painful lesson about the consequences of broken promises, let's check in with our animatronic answering machine says so.
Hey, bag of bolts, any wisdom for our thoughtful listeners?
Greetings, Lane and Dave. This is Aisha from Oakland. So, I have this fun little morning ritual where I enter the date into my photo app on my iPhone and scroll through all the images and memories that happened on that same day in previous years. It's become my favorite way to relive great experiences and see how much has changed. So, for July 23rd, I found this amazing photo from 3 years ago when my sister and I went to that outdoor Shakespeare festival in Berkeley. We were sitting on this blanket, sharing overpriced wine and laughing so hard at the comedic timing that we almost got shushed by the people in front of us. Looking at that photo just brings back all the joy of that perfect summer evening. Anyway, love the show. You two always make history feel so immediate and relevant.
Wow, Aisha, first of all, that photo app ritual sounds absolutely delightful. Dave, I think we should look at our own phones for today.
No, no, no.
Okay, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, it's a great idea and a great way to create your own personal on this day experience.
Yeah, Aisha. Wow, badass move. And there's something beautiful about using technology to create these little moments of nostalgic reflection. Very analog feelings through digital means, I might add.
Right. And outdoor Shakespeare with wine and sister bonding sounds like the perfect summer memory to stumble across on a random Wednesday morning.
I prithee thee, more vino veritas for a fool.
Wow.
Aisha's
Excellent.
found.
You're
What's that?
so educated, Dave.
I am. I'm telling you, I got extremities whatever. Aisha found this lovely way to make every day a little more meaningful by connecting it to her own personal history. Aisha, though, don't spend all day looking through those photos. You might lose your job, which is kind of what we're doing here with society's collective trauma instead of wine and Shakespeare. Hey, that sounds like a great restaurant, Lane. Let's open it.
Wine and Shakespeare,
Hi,
right?
welcome
That
to Wine
does
and
sound great.
Shakespeare. What dothey thee like?
Could you imagine though having to put up with the waiters when you just say, "Can you tell me the specials?" and it's all rattled
Oh,
off in iambic pentameter in Old English?
scene three. No, just tell me what the specials are.
I don't know what mutton is. What? No one eats that. What are you talking about?
Thou
All right,
doth art wrong.
birthdays for today. Today we have Daniel Radcliffe at 31, proving that surviving child stardom is its own form of magic.
That's right. Woody Harrelson at 63, who somehow made the transition from sitcom bartender to serious dramatic actor look effortless. And the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, who left us too soon but gave us performances that will last forever.
That's true. Plus, we have Emperor Haile
Highly.
Selassie. Help me, Dave, with pronunciation here.
Okay, so this guy, he was from Ethiopia,
But
and
what's his name?
his name is Haile Selassie. That's very Haile Selassie of you. Anyway,
Haile Selassie the First,
yeah.
who ruled Ethiopia and became a Rastafarian religious figure because July 23rd apparently specializes in people who transcend their original categories.
Yeah, Jaman.
Yeah,
But
and we'll
anyway,
start off with the Detroit riots. We're going to get
yes.
right into it. Ow!
Oh,
July 23rd, 1967, the Detroit riots begin when police raid an illegal after hours club celebrating two returning Vietnam veterans, escalating into 5 days of civil unrest that left 43 dead, over 7,000 arrested, and fundamentally changed American cities forever.
boy, you really motored through that historical tidbit, Lane.
Well, we got stuff to do, Dave. Let's go.
I know. And here's why this resonates specifically with Gen X. You're the generation that grew up in cities that were still rebuilding from the civil rights era, where the scars of institutional failure were literally built into the landscape, or shall we say, destroyed.
Exactly. We're the kids who grew up seeing burned out buildings that were never rebuilt, understanding that urban decay wasn't some natural phenomenon, it was the physical manifestation of political choices.
Gen X learned early that when adults said, those neighborhoods went bad, what they meant was, we abandoned those neighborhoods and then blamed them for our abandonment. Okay?
Right. Yep. We're the generation that understood that white flight wasn't just demographic change, it was economic warfare disguised as residential preference.
Yeah, Gen X developed this very clear understanding that urban problems weren't caused by urban people. They were caused by suburban policies that extracted resources from cities and then acted surprised when cities struggled.
We learned that when politicians talk about law and order, they usually mean protecting the people who created the disorder from the people who are suffering from it.
Wow.
Deep thoughts, huh?
Deep thoughts, deep thoughts. So
All
here's a
right.
big event on
Okay.
July 23rd,
What could it be?
1903.
Uh-huh.
The Ford
Go
Motor
on.
Company sells its first automobile, a Model
Ooh.
A. You know, they started with the
Mm-hmm.
alphabet,
That's
launching the
nice.
mass production revolution that would transform American labor, economics, and geography forever. On this date.
Oh, wow. So now this time, Dave, I can see the wheels turning literally. This this is about millennials and the promises of industrial innovation, isn't it?
Wheels turning. You got me on that one. My
Ah,
sides, my chest.
yeah.
Millennials inherited a world shaped by Ford's vision of mass production and good wages, creating mass consumption, but then had to watch that entire economic model get systematically dismantled. You know, Lane, when Henry Ford made the $5 workday part of his payment to his workers back then, it was almost double what other workers were making. And
Wow.
yeah, Wall Street went nuts saying, what is this guy doing? He's going to
I mean,
ruin
what did he
everything.
like overpaying people, or there had to be a reason for
No,
it?
no, no. He was so ahead of his time. He said, I'm going to pay these people enough so that they can actually buy my product, and created basically the middle class in one fell swoop.
Holy smokes. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Ford's first car represented this promise that technological innovation could create broadly shared prosperity, the
Yeah,
middle class.
that's right. Fascinating, I know. Innovation and millennials inherited a world shaped by Ford's vision of mass production and good wages, creating mass consumption, but then had to watch the entire economic model get systematically dismantled. I repeat myself. Exactly.
Now, now I've lost where.
We just have to.
Yeah,
It's
you're at exactly now.
exactly. Ford famously paid workers enough to buy the cars they made, creating this virtuous cycle of production and consumption. Again, the middle class. But millennials entered a workforce where companies expect workers to buy products they can't afford to make.
It's like millennials inherited the mythology of the middle class without inheriting the economic conditions that made the middle class possible.
Right. Layaway. That's an option. Ford's innovation was understanding that workers were also customers, but millennials grew up in an economy where workers are treated as costs to be minimized, while customers are expected to have infinite purchasing power.
Yeah, millennials learned that innovation often means finding new ways to extract value from workers while providing less security, benefits, and wages in return.
Well, let's go on to something that I really want to talk about, though.
Oh, what could that be, Dave?
Well, equipment that delivers on
You
its
want to
promise.
talk about your equipment? That's
Yes.
this is family friendly, Dave.
That's okay. They can handle it. Duluth Trading, unlike economic systems or political institutions, their workwear actually performs as advertised.
Visit duluthtrading.com for clothing designed by people who understand that durability isn't a marketing slogan. It's a basic requirement for people who actually work for a living. Plus, they've got all kinds of special promotions going on right now. They have a number of clearance items where 50% off. Summer gear is 25% off. And they also have a buy three and get one free promotion going.
Yeah, basically, they're just giving away stuff almost for free. So, when institutions fail, you need workwear that doesn't. Duluth Trading builds clothes for people who can't afford to have their gear let them down, or your pants. Whether you're building something better or just trying to get through another day, go to Duluth.
Plus, Dave's community organizer look really makes every piece of workwear seem like part of a larger movement for social justice. Very, we're building something better energy.
Why, thank you very much, Lane.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what that means, but you look great. You always look great, Dave. You
Thank
always
you.
look great. One day, maybe I won't be green.
Well,
Uh, so we got to move on to our last topic. July 23rd, 1952. Any ideas what that might be, Dave?
Egypt?
It is in that region. The
Yeah.
Free Officers Movement, led by Gamal Abdel Nasser, overthrows King Farouk I of Egypt, ending the monarchy and establishing the modern Republic of Egypt through a bloodless military coup.
And Gen Z processes this completely differently than previous generations.
Oh, really? Well, how so?
Well, I'll tell you, Lane. Gen Z looks at the Egyptian revolution and immediately asks the question that previous generations avoided. Who funded the opposition? What foreign interests were involved? How did this liberation, quotes, movement serve imperial powers? Huh?
Ah, I see. So, where older generations might see this as a straightforward anti colonial victory, Gen Z sees it through the lens of geopolitical complexity?
Yeah, the previous would think, it's just another coup. But today's
Hmm.
Gen Z sees it as, what's behind this? Exactly. Gen Z doesn't buy simple narratives about good guys overthrowing bad guys. They understand that revolutions often just change which elites are in charge, not whether elites are in charge.
Mm. They're the generation that asks liberation for whom and liberation from what exactly?
And how much? Yeah, Gen Z learned from Iraq, Libya, Syria. They understand that regime change is often just code for different regime, same fundamental problems.
Yeah, Gen Z approaches every revolution, using my quotes there, with the question, are the power structures actually changing or are we just swapping one set of rulers for another?
Yeah, they're the generation that understands that real change requires changing systems, not just changing the people who run the systems. By the way, I need to change my clothes.
And we got to change on to tomorrow pretty soon here. So wrap it up, Dave.
All right, so July 23rd shows us 3 different approaches to understanding institutional failure.
Gen X learned that abandonment creates the problems that authorities then blame on the abandoned. Millennials discovered that economic promises evaporate while economic expectations remain. And Gen Z developed sophisticated analysis for distinguishing real change from cosmetic change.
From recognizing manufactured crises to understanding broken economic models to analyzing power structures, each generation built better tools for seeing through institutional deception. Made it.
Thanks to Duluth Trading for sponsoring a show about institutional failure with workwear that represents institutional competence. Visit duluthtrading.com for clothing that actually works. And right now, summer gear is 25% off, and don't forget about that buy 3 and get 1 free promotion.
Ooh, if July 23rd's lessons about broken promises and systemic failure resonated with you, like and subscribe. And send us a voice memo about a moment when you realized that quote unquote reform was just another word for delay.
Says so, our animatronic answering machine will process your story, and unlike most institutions, it won't promise more than it can deliver.
So until next time, this has been Touring History, X, Y, and Z.
Where progress is possible, but only if we stop confusing motion with movement.
I won't confuse those two.
I
That
don't know what that
community
means.
The community organizer look is really working for me today.
Yeah, I love your clipboard and conviction energy, Dave.
Thank you, dude. See you tomorrow.